and warm up? Despite living in extreme poverty, one day I extended a helping hand to a homeless mother and her daughter in the park. Although I could barely get by myself, I don't know why I did such a thing. Then, the president of the company I worked for suddenly passed away, and his younger brother, the vice president, became the new president. For some reason, I got fired and was left feeling hopeless. However, when I got home, the daughter greeted me with a sly smile, saying, "Welcome back. You've worked hard." My name is Alex. I'm a 29-year-old single office worker. My friends from school call me Lex. I think it's a cool nickname, but I'm not particularly cool myself. I look pretty ordinary, or maybe below average, with glasses and black hair that give me a gloomy image. I can be considerate of others, but I don't actively engage with people. Above all, I'm poor. As you can tell from my living conditions, I think my place is worse than a poor college student's. I live in a shabby apartment with rent costing only $130. The apartment technically has 2 rooms, but since there's no wall separating them, it's practically a one-room. The bathroom and toilet are separate, but that's just because it's an old building. The kitchen is tiny, the floor is old, and the walls dividing the rooms are thin. While it's not like you can hear every sound, even slightly loud voices can be heard clearly. Privacy is virtually non-existent. Right now, I can hear a couple arguing next door. It's not just arguments, sometimes I hear their intimate moments, which makes it unbearable. Besides the noise from the neighbors, I can also hear the sounds of illegally modified bikes and loud music from open windows outside. So, during these noisy times, I vent my work stress in my room. I don't scream or shout, but speaking bitterly to myself at a normal speaking volume helps me feel a bit better. Expressing pent-up stress verbally helps lighten my mood a bit. Some people say writing it down is helpful, but I find speaking it out loud more satisfying. It's free and just saying it changes my mood enough. With the loud noises, my neighbors probably don't even notice, and since I'm not shouting, it doesn't bother anyone. But there's a topic that inevitably comes up at my age. It's what people call the marriageable age. Sure, I'd like to have a girlfriend. It's not something to brag about, but I've never had a girlfriend in my 29 years. Some of my classmates already have kids. But right now, I can't afford to have a girlfriend. Even if I did, I don't have the financial means to support her. The reason I'm living in such poverty is because of my student loan debt. And with my salary barely increasing, I'm living paycheck to paycheck. With just enough to support myself, starting a family feels like a distant dream. Even though I'm struggling, I'm known as a diligent worker who gets the job done at the company. One day, I arrived at work to find a group of employees talking. Wondering what was going on, my colleague James hurried over to me. "Alex, there's been an incident." "An incident?" I thought someone might have committed embezzlement, but that wasn't it. "The president passed away suddenly." "What?" "But he was fine just yesterday. That's why it's a sudden death." The president, Mr. Bellamy, was a dapper gentleman with a distinguished look. He always walked with a straight posture, looking sharp in his suit, and seemed like a hard-working man. I'd seen him around the office several times, always looking sharp and steady on his feet, making everyone believe the company was still secure. So, we all thought the company was in good hands. "Who do you think will be the next president?" "Well, it's probably going to be him, based on the hierarchy." "Him?" The person James referred to, him, was the president's younger brother, Robert. Robert occasionally came to the office, but neither I nor the other employees had a favorable impression of him. "Why is he even the vice president?" "Because Mr. Bellamy was kind-hearted and couldn't abandon his family." "But still, does he even do any work?" This question left me at a loss for words. Ultimately, Robert was appointed as the new president. It made sense, they couldn't leave the president's seat vacant forever. If that happened, other companies might look down on us, and some might even try to take advantage of the situation. Even so, we were filled with anxiety knowing that Robert would now be running the company. This was because Robert had hardly been involved in the company's operations until now. I doubt he even understood how the company functioned. Normally, if you're going to become the president, you'd at least study management, even if only superficially. Our company may not be huge, but it still had a fair number of employees. Supporting all their families requires a serious commitment. Even though he held the title of vice president, Robert didn't actually do any work. Apparently, other employees had seen him frequently engaging in gambling. These activities might be fun when you're winning, but they cause significant losses when you lose. And once you've experienced a big win, it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking, next time for sure, and keep pouring money in, ending up in a downward spiral. Knowing that Robert, who had been doing such things, was the new president made us very uneasy. But there were more reasons to be worried about Robert. Oh man, I'm only feeling dread. James? I mean, there are rumors he messed up at his previous company too. Messed up? You mean he had trouble with his boss? Exactly. This was a well-known story. Robert was known for his temper and had gotten into trouble with his boss at the company he worked for before this one. And this happened just 6 months after he joined. At first, I couldn't believe it. These days, people usually brace themselves to endure the first year at a new company. Quitting after just 6 months seemed incredibly selfish. And then Mr. Bellamy, who was kind, gave his poor brother the vice president's seat. But he probably tried to make him work, too. Even if he made him do vice president's work, it wouldn't have been much good. Yeah, true. I hope he becomes a bit more responsible now that he's president. James's hope was unlikely to come true. People don't change that easily. Up until now, Emma from accounting had been handling most of the company matters. Emma was well known but shrouded in mystery. None of us had ever seen her or knew what she looked like. However, it was also well known that the former president had immense trust in her. She was always holed up in the accounting room, practically a legendary figure we never saw. I had only ever spoken to her over the phone. With Robert taking over as president, I wondered what would happen to Emma, but there was nothing I could do as just an employee. However, my worries soon became reality. Robert's policies, announced during his first address as the new president, left us all in shock. I'm the new president, Robert. I don't know how my brother ran things, but now that I'm in charge, there will be no more leniency. Anyone who doesn't follow my policies will be fired without mercy. It was an arrogant and high-handed speech, and the longtime employees clicked their tongues and muttered things like, "Stupid brother." From now on, every morning meeting will include a numerical target. Anyone who doesn't meet it will face a pay cut. Work hard and be prepared. Although I didn't say it out loud, I screamed "what" in my mind. Setting goals is fine, but reducing pay for not meeting them is sheer tyranny. Listen up. Speed, judgment, and decisiveness are essential in work. Don't drag your feet and try to rack up overtime pay. That's easy for him to say, but there are often situations where overtime is unavoidable. That's just how the workplace is. But perhaps because he was clueless about actual work, Robert would yell at the top of his lungs if the work was even slightly delayed, making him unbelievably unreasonable. Because of this, my stress was building up every day, but I just endured it. That day, after working all day, I declined an invitation to a drink with my colleagues and headed straight to the cheap supermarket near my apartment. This supermarket always had great deals for the local poor students, but just before closing time, they added extra discount stickers. Perhaps it's the supermarket's way of ensuring they sell all their prepared foods by the end of the day. But I didn't hesitate to put several heavily discounted prepared meals into my basket. I also bought a salad marked down by 80% and left the store. Swinging the plastic bag I used as a reusable shopping bag that was about to get holes from overuse, I headed home. On the way back, my attention was drawn to 2 women huddled together on a bench in a small, dark park. At this late at night? If it had just been 2 women talking in the park, I would have ignored it. But something about them seemed off, so I stopped and stared at them. The 2 women looked like they were mother and daughter, judging by their similar faces. It was around 10 p.m. Moreover, they were very lightly dressed for this season and looked quite dirty. I slowly entered the park and pretended to buy a warm drink from the vending machine near them, listening to their conversation. "Mom, I'm cold." "It's okay. Just snuggle up closer." "Thanks, it's much better now." From that exchange, I was sure they were mother and daughter. The mother looked to be in her early 50s, and the daughter around 20. What happened to them? Their clothes are dirty, but they're wearing branded stuff. I recalled the morning weather forecast I saw on the news. They said it wouldn't rain, but it would get quite cold tonight.